This is Radhakrishna, lecturer in computer science, Chambers Degree College, Palakul. In the previous sessions, we discussed about modularization, concurrency, cohesion, coupling, and cohesion types and coupling types. We also discussed about design verification. Now, in our today's session, I'm going to introduce one more concept, that is design tools, software analysis and design tools. Software analysis and design tools. In the previous sessions, we discussed about the requirements, how to design a model, how to create an analysis model, what are the problems in requirement gathering, what is feasibility. Like that, we discussed some topics which are the initial stage of the project development. In this stage, we will complete requirements gathering, feasibility study, requirements analysis, SRS preparation, and analysis models. All these tasks will be completed. But these must be converted into graphical form because we have a world, one picture represents 1,000 words. So we must convert all the designed content. We must convert all the designed models. All of our identifications must be converted to graphical format. Because if you represent anything in graphics, it is more convenient to understand. Everyone can understand graphical format. So the designed elements in the previous stages must be managed and must be converted into graphical format. This helps the developers, programmers, testers, all the people of the project development in understanding what to do, how to do, and what is the importance of which requirement. All these can be understood very easily with the help of these graphical representation. So, we must convert all these concepts into graphical representations. To convert all these into graphics, there are several tools available here. These tools are called as ER diagrams, data flow diagrams, context diagrams, decision charts, decision tables, pseudocode, structured English. Like that, we have so many items to explain the designed pages into more understandable form. Today, let us discuss all the tools one by one. First, I'm going to start with data flow diagram, which is also called as DFD, data flow diagram. This is the first tool that we're going to discuss. This data flow diagrams contains various symbols. This will show the designer what is the flow of data inside the system, from where the data flows and to where the data flows, and which is data store, where data stores, where it moves. All these details will be represented in this data flow diagram because in the designing stage, the developer will identify what is the data that will be used in this project. So the data will be stored at a particular location and it will move to some other department, some other modules, some other locations. The data will move. If you write all this on a paper as text, it will create a little bit of confusion. So to avoid this confusion, all the flow of this data inside the system must be represented as diagrams. So to represent the flow of data inside the system, we can use these data flow diagrams. We have two types of data flow diagrams available. Those are, one is logical DFD, and that is the first one, logical DFD, and the second one is physical DFD. These two are the types of data flow diagrams. Data flow diagrams can be classified as logical DFD and physical DFD, logical data flow diagram and physical data flow diagram. Let us discuss each one. The first one, logical DFD. This logical DFD concentrates on the system process and the flow of data in the system. This concentrates on the flow of data in the system and the system process also. Best example for this logical DFD is banking system. In banking, data will be moved from several departments and several systems. So that is called as logical DFD. On the other hand, we have another type of DFD which is called as physical DFD. Let us see what is physical DFD. This type of data flow diagram shows the data, how the data flows in the actually implemented system. This shows how the data actually implemented. So this is to represent the details of physical data. So this physical DFD shows how the data flow in actually implemented in the system. Actual system, how the data moves in the actual system, it shows in physical DFD. Now we have some symbols that will be used in these data flow diagrams. Let us discuss all these symbols one by one and let us work with some examples also. First one, we have a symbol which is called as, it is rectangle. This is one symbol that is used to represent entity. And the next one, another symbol we have a circle. These are the symbols that we are going to use in data flow diagram. And that is the third one. And one more symbol we have. You can use arrows. You may use any side of arrow that shows this is to data flow. These symbols will be used in our data flow diagrams. So please study and write down. We will discuss more detail about these diagrams, more detail about these symbols, and we will work with some examples also. Please write down. And now let us see what is entity. First one, rectangle. You may use rectangle as entity. So first we must know what is the meaning of entity. The entity means which contains some several information. That means entities are the source or destination of information. Entities are represented by rectangles. This entity may be source or destination of data or information. So these will be represented with the help of a rectangle. If you see an example for entity is a person. If you go for a bank, customer is the entity because a customer will have so many details. He will have customer number, customer name, customer address, phone number, email, like that. A customer have so many details. So here customer can be called as entity. So that will be represented with the help of rectangle. And next we have to go for one more symbol that is called as process. Process can be represented with the help of these circles. Processes are activities or actions. Activities or actions taken on data that are represented by circles. So you may have so many activities in our software development system. These will be represented with the help of circles. Actions can be represented as circles and some tasks, all these processes, all these will be represented with the help of these circles. This is one more symbol that we have to use in data flow diagrams. And the next symbol will use data store. A rectangle which is opened one side, that in small side. You may open this side also. This side is also open. You may open this side also. Both sides will be opened. These two symbols can be used as data store. That means if you want to represent here the data will be stored, then you must represent that area like this. Where the data stores? There are two variants of data stores. It can be either be represented as a rectangle, that means open, one side open rectangle and two sides open rectangle. So if data is stored at a particular location, suppose if you want to represent that data will be stored here, then you have to use this symbol at that location. That is data store. And finally, these arrows, these are to connect these symbols in the data flow diagram. The movement of data from this area to this area, the data will move. Then you have to draw an arrow there. Like that, to connect these elements and to show the flow of data from where the data moves to where the data moves, it can be represented with the help of these arrows. Now, let us discuss these data flow diagrams in depth. Here, we can represent a system, a proposal system in data flow diagrams as different levels. What is the level here? A level is nothing but how descriptive that you are giving in this diagram. Suppose if you are describing a system in data flow diagram as outlined, it can be level 0. If you represent a system in this data flow diagrams in more detailed, it can be level 1. If you represent data flow diagram and very much depth descriptive, more clearly if you describe a system in this data flow diagram, then it can be level 2. Like that, we will have different levels of data flow diagrams. First, let us see. Now, I want to give you level 1. How you can define level 1 data flow diagram? That is first one. Sorry, level 0 I am going to explain. First one is level 0. What is the definition of level 0 and how it will be represented? We will see. This level 0 is the highest abstraction of DFD, and this is also called as level 0 DFD, which depicts entire developed system as information system, as one diagram. In a single diagram, you can represent entire system. So this is the highest abstraction. It never contains much more details about the system. It will show us the overall system and its architecture as a single one. Much more details are not included in this level. So I will give you an example. Online shopping system. So we have a system, online shopping system. In this, we'll have customers. What is the relation between these two? In this, customer will place the order and here you please observe. Here I try to explain online shopping system with a simple term. In this online shopping system will be there, customers will be there. Customers will order online shopping system and that online shopping system will deliver the product to the customer. Simply we explained. So this is called as level 0 online shopping system. Please study this diagram, level 0 data flow diagram, which shows an online shopping system as a whole system, as a simple system. In this, simply we can explain, we'll have online shopping system. In this, customers will be there. Customers will order products and online shopping system will deliver the products to the customer. This is level 0. And next type of DFD that I am going to explain, that is level 1. What will be there in level 1? We'll see. Level 1 DFD. What is this level 1 DFD? The level 1 DFD is broken into more specific. That is what in level 0 we described as whole system as a single unit in simple terms. It will be described in more detail. So level 0 is broken into number of items in level 1. Level 1 DFD depicts the basic modules. It shows basic modules in the system and flow of data among the modules. Level 1 DFD will show us more detailed explanation which is gathered from level 0. In level 0 we got only outer lines, but in level 1 will show different modules and flow of data between those modules. So it will be explained in depth than level 0. Let us try to draw a diagram, example diagram for level 1 DFD. In this, if you observe, in level 0 DFD, we have taken online system and customer only. Only two items we used there. And just simply we explained, customer will order to the online system and online system will deliver the product. Simply we explained in level 0. But in this level 1, we have so many items explained here. Customer will be there. He will put an order. It will be sent to sales department. The sales department will process. So the order will be processed. It is displayed in circles. In this order process, the customer will be verified. So whether he is a regular customer or a new customer, these details will be verified. At the same time, whether the product is available in the store or not, it will be verified. The item will be issued, and again it will be sent to sales department along with invoice copy, and from there it will be delivered to customer. Again, for every order, the customer already paid the amount. It will be verified in accounts department for finance verification. So, in this level 1 DFD, we explained some more details, some more deep details, inner details of the organization. In level 0, we have not given all the details, we have not mentioned all the details. Because as an overall simple view we have given in level 0, it never contains all the details. Level 0 never contains all the details. But in the next stage, that is level 1, it contained some more details, some more inner details about the transactions, the process inside the organization. So this is to order an item. So what are the activities will be taken while processing an order? These are explained in this level 1 DFD. Once again, you please study this diagram. This is also the previously explained online shopping system. In level 0, we explained the online shopping system. And in level 1 also, I used the same system. I used the same system as an example. But here, I tried to give inner details, inner transactions of the organization while processing an order. Customer orders will be sent to sales, it will be processed, and customer will be verified here. So customer data will be here. So I represented here, this is data store symbol. This is process, that's why I used cycles. And these are accounts department, entities, and stores, it's also entity. So when you place an order, it will be verified in the accounts department, financial verification will be executed, it will be processed. Like that, what are the steps they will take while processing an order? These are explained in this level 1 DFD. And finally, we have one more type of DFD. Please study this diagram. Please note down this and study. And now I'm going to explain level 2 DFD. That is the next one. Level 2 data flow diagram. What is this level 2 data flow diagram? At this level 2, DFD shows how data flows inside the modules mentioned in level 1. In level 1, we mentioned several modules. Already we discussed just now. So, in level 2, it shows how data moves inside the modules that we explained in level 1. That means we have to draw these data flow diagrams level by level. First, we must represent the system in level 0. And in the next stage, the same system must be explained, designed in level 1. Very much depth in the descriptive way. And in level 2, again, you have to explain very much depth that explains much more. See, like that, in level 2 DFD, we have already used some modules in level 1 just now. So, the flow of data inside, how the flow of data, how the data flows inside modules. From where these modules are taken, from level 1 we have taken modules, and the flow of data inside these modules will be explained in this level 2 diagram. Like that, these data flow diagrams can be represented as level 0, level 1 and level 2. So today, as an analysis tool, as a graphical tool, we discussed about data flow diagrams. In these data flow diagrams, we categorized as physical DFD and logical DFD, and we discussed different symbols that will be used in these data flow diagrams, like rectangles, circles, arrows, open rectangles for different items, entities, process, arrows, all these symbols we used, and different types of levels of data flow diagrams, that is level 0, level 1 and level 2 we discussed just now. Now let us discuss the remaining graphic tools that helps the designer, it helps the developer to convert the planned model to graphical model. Another design tool that we are going to discuss is structure charts. Structure charts. These structure charts are derived from data flow diagrams. These will give more details than data flow diagrams. These structure charts shows several modules and function modules, sub-function modules, and in-depth inner details will be represented in these structure charts. These structure charts can be used in several ways, and several symbols can be used in these structure charts. Today, let us discuss each one. What are the symbols we have in structure chart and how these will be used? With examples we will discuss in today's session. Now, first symbol that we are going to use in structure charts is first model, module. In this, how to draw a module in structure charts? We'll have a main module and it contains submodules So these are the modules that were identified while modularization. And we'll have libraries also. In this will be called as control module, and these are submodules, and this is library module. Please study this diagram once. Now this diagram contains several modules and libraries also. All we must know about libraries. Libraries are reusable things. In software development point of view, we can define libraries as the things that we can reuse. Some programs will be created. These contain some procedures. So these can be reused whenever requirement in the software development. So these reusable things can be called as libraries, and these can also be used as submodules in this module session. Here, the main module contains submodules. So this main module is called as control module. And these are all called as submodules, and we have libraries also. This is called as library module. So how you can define, how can I explain this module methodology in the structure chart? It represents process and subroutines. This methodology represents process and subroutines or tasks. So this contains, these may be processes, these may be subroutines, or these may be tasks. And a control module branches to one or more. A control module branches to more than one subroutine. Here, this is control module. This control module branches to more than one submodule. So this must have more than one submodule. These will be, these modules or these submodules will be subroutines or programs or a task. And this is control module. This control module must branch more than one submodule. So this is using with the help of module methodology. This is one of the examples for structure charts which contains modules. Please study this diagram once. And next one, next method, next symbol that we can use in these modules is condition. Condition. So how you can represent this condition in this one? We'll have a module. It will be represented like this. We have to use a diamond to show this is condition module, and we'll have submodules here. Please study this diagram. Here I use a module, control module, and it's having a diamond which shows this is condition, and it's having two submodules. So here what we can identify with the help of the diagram. Please study this one. It represents that, this diagram represents that the main module, the control module, will select any one of the conditions. As per the knowledge of your previous semesters, already you have knowledge in programming. In programming, we already used several conditions. If, else, if else, like that, we use so many conditions. Based on the condition, based on the result of the condition, the related task will be executed. If the given condition is true, its related task will be executed. If the given condition is false, the false part will be executed. Similarly, here also we used a conditional module. What this shows is, this main module will select any one of the module based on the condition. It can be represented using this conditional module. This is another method in structure chart. Please study this diagram. I will explain another methodology in this structure chart. Next one is jump. Jumping means moving from one area to another area directly. From one area to another area, if anything moves directly, then it can call as jump. Similarly, in modules also, how this can be represented. In structure chart, you take a module and I have taken another module as example. You have to draw an arrow into inside the box. not the outer. In this jump module, this is the first module and another module. The control will move from this module to this module. The control will jump from this module to this module directly. But here the arrow must be used into middle of the box, middle of the rectangle. So how you can explain this jump module? An arrow is showing, pointing inside the module to depict that the control moves from this module to this module directly. The control jumps from this module to this module directly. So it will be identified, it will be explained by using the arrow directly inside into the middle of the rectangle. So this is called as jump module. Jump module can be explained like this. It can be drawn like this. Please study this diagram also. In this session, you have to forward and move backward to again to verify, again to check the explained topics again and again. It will give you more understanding on all these symbols because these data flow diagrams, structure chart is all very important and it can be understood very easily. So after completion of the video, again you please move forward and backward to check all these symbols again and again. Now I am going to explain one more type of methodology that can be used in these modules, that is called as loop. Next one is loop. How it can be represented? What is loop? Already we know about loops. That's in programming. A loop is nothing but it will be repeatedly executed. One or more statements will be repeatedly executed until the given condition is true. When the given condition is false, the execution will be stopped. Similarly, loop is means repeatedly executing something, repeatedly doing the same until the given condition is false. When the given condition is false, it will be stopped. Similarly, in this structure charts, loops can be represented like this. We'll have a main module, and under this we'll have submodules also. These can be represented as submodules, module and another module and another module. I have three modules here. Here I am using a curve. It shows this is a loop. Now let us see. Here this loop is represented with the help of this curve. Please study this. This is the main module and these are submodules we have. And a curve covered two modules here. A curved arrow represents in this here. A curved arrow represents loop in the module. All submodules covered by loop are repeat execution of the module. All submodules covered by loop will be repeated, will repeat execution of the module. So these will repeat execution of the module. So these two modules covered by this curve. So these will repeat execution. It can be represented. These two are covered. So these will repeat execution. This can be explained as loop in structure chart. And one more concept that we have to discuss in this one is data flow. How data flow will be represented? So in this structure chart, data flow, that means from where data flows to where. It can be represented using arrows. Please study this one. We will have two modules. This is a module, and another module we have. So how data flows between these two modules, we can explain with the help of this diagram. Here we have two modules. Please study this diagram. Here we have two modules. In this, data flow is explained with the help of these directed arrows, and at the another side with empty circles. Here I used empty circles with directed arrows. Directed arrows means here I mentioned the direction with the help of arrowhead. Here also I mentioned the direction with the help of arrowhead, and in another side I used empty circles. This shows the data flow from which module data flows to which module. This is another method. And we have another concept to discuss in this structured charts. That is the last method that you can use this one. That is called as control flow. We need not write again and again because here I am making some modifications to avoid time wastage. Here it is control flow. Simply you have to shade these circles. I am not drawing the same diagram. This is to avoid only time wastage. Please study the modification change I did here. Here in this one, this is control flow. In this one, these directed arrows, and these are having a filled circle in another side. Similar here also, directed arrow is there and a filled circle. In the previous one, we discussed about that's what data flow. In data flow, we use the empty circle. Please observe the difference between these two. Here, this is control flow. How the control moves from one area to another area. How the control moves from one module to another module. It will be explained with this one. Here, I used rounded circles. I used circles which are filled. This is the difference between data flow and control flow. Like that, by using several symbols, we can represent a system into more detailed way than data flow diagrams. So this is about structure charts. Another tool that helps us to explain the system is HIPPO diagram. HIPO. Hierarchical input, process, output. In this HIPPO model, we can use two methods as a combination. This HIPPO method is invented by IBM in 1970. In this, the developer will explain the entire system as a hierarchy, and the functions and subfunctions of all the procedures will be explained in hierarchical fashion. In this is a hierarchical system. You can observe here. This is a hierarchical system. This shows the entire system and its procedure, but it is explained in hierarchical model. In the previous concept that we discussed, that is in data flow diagrams, there also we explained the system, but there it is not hierarchical. But here it is hierarchical. That's why it is called as hierarchical input process output system. So in this system, we explained everything in hierarchical fashion. All the functions and subfunctions are explained here. This is an online sales system. This is an example for an online sales system. In this, what we use, we have some subsystems here: authentication, inventory check, payment process, and dispatch of item. Again, inventory check contains two sub items, sub components. Those are issue item or item missing. Again, that issue item contains a sub item. Like that, that entire system will be represented in hierarchical fashion. In this online sale, first authentication will be verified whether the user that are using is a proper person, an authorized person or not. So authentication will be performed. This authentication may be with the help of passwords, with the help of OTPs or biometric, maybe anything. But authentication process will be performed. That is one concept we have in this system. And next one, when the customer orders a product, then it must be verified whether that product is available or not. Whether the product is available in the stock, in the godown or not. So here we have to check inventory. If the product is available, then item will be issued. And automatically, if one piece is issued, then that one must be deducted from the available stock in the godown. So that is represented here. Deduct inventory. In inventory, we have to deduct a particular item is already sold. So it must be deducted from the available stock. Suppose in inventory check, if the item is missing, you cannot do anything. It's not possible to issue the item. And similarly, we have payment process also. So whether the payment is completed or not, whether it is successful or not, the payment process will be verified. After completing all these, the item will be dispatched. So when the customer orders a product, that product will be verified in the inventory. If it is available, it will be issued and it will be deducted from the inventory. And next, the payment process will be verified whether the payment is made successful or not. If it's also successful, another procedure will be executed. That means the item will be dispatched to the customer. Like that, using this type of FIFO diagrams, we can explain a system, a proposed system as hierarchical fashion. This is another design tool